It all happened like I knew it would. A single drop of source magic. And, like flies to honey, the monsters swarmed. The rebel panicked. The carnage began. And the Magisters pointed their fingers at me. Just as I'd planned. I was shackled and collared, and sent to Fort Joy. I'd come here to kill Godwoken. But instead, I became part of their story.
So, still a bit groggy, are we? Don't worry, the sedative will wear off soon enough. Easy now. No need to hurry. Get your bearings and report to me upstairs.
The things I do to complete a contract. Well, that explains the smell anyway.
Why, you're looking a bit more chipper. Yes. Looks like that collar fits you snugly enough. Nice bit of work, even if I do say so myself. There you are. Not too tight, I hope. The collar, I mean. Oh, not to worry. Every dog has to get used to its leash. In the meantime, your next stop will be Magister William. All passengers have to be registered in the ship's manifest, and he's the chap in charge of the... You'll find him on the other side of this deck, in the officers' quarters. Why, for my peace of mind, of course. Why don't you try casting one of those source spells of yours? See what happens. Oh, do go on. I won't hold it against you. Promise. My, aren't we a meek little lamb? Perhaps I needn't have called. So let's just leave it on, shall we? Because to answer your question, for your own peace of mind, of course. Yours and the whole world's. Dungeon? You have the gall to call my laboratory a dungeon?
Index fingers pressed to her lips, she pauses a moment to give you a scrutinizing gander.
My word, you do seem a bit befuddled, don't you? Perhaps I was a bit too generous with that sedative. Oh, well, I'm sure you'll soon gather your wits. Most likely. Eventually. In the meantime, all you need to know is that we're en route to Fort Joy. A new life awaits, and if you're a particularly good boy, perhaps a cure as well. An end to Source. For good.
Bloody murder. Looks like someone's hit the Hall of Echoes a little early.
But who?
Behind the Magister, a bloodied mass lies in a heap. Gore and limbs lie at odds.
There's been a murder. A sorceress Waters is investigating. She'll figure out who did it. Always does.
Ugly sight, isn't it? Burns me up this happened under our protection. We're extremely lucky no Voidwalker followed the source that did this. Finn didn't see it like that. He was desperate for us to help him. Two things scared the living daylights out of him. His own shadow and his own source. We'll find out who did this.
She looks up at you with a mirthless smile.
I was on duty in your room when the murder happened. You're one of the only indisputably innocent people on the ship. Unless you can commit murder in your sleep, of course. Finn was killed by Source. If a Magister could do that, there wouldn't be a Magister. It looks more like a passenger managed to slip their collar. Listen, I could use someone to keep their... Bring me a good lead, and I'll throw in a shiny gold coin for you. How about that? Thanks. I just want a cat.
No known associates. In fact, he seemed quite averse to spending time with the others. A no doesn't become...
An elf sits tucked away in a dark spot, lazily rolling dice onto the surface of a barrel. They sound like the dry cackling of an old witch.
Snake eyes.
She chuckles.
I bet that's just what they'll look like.
She shakes her head.
Game for one, I'm afraid. Rolling dice. Deciding fates. Don't worry, honey. It isn't yours.
She looks you up and down with the merest hint of a coy smile on her lips.
Never say never, though.
She eyes you quite seriously.
Not the future, no. But I can read the past in flesh. One of the perks of being an elf, you see. I'm quite good at it, too. I could lick your arm and tell you how you spent the night before last. Shall I?
She chuckles once more.
That red-cheeked refusal tells me more than licking you would. But suit yourself, darling.
How dare you classify this slop as food? I've seen more appetizing things coming out of plague-stricken pigs. Well, what have we here? A fresh face in this stale hell. Let's size you up, shall we? See if you'll do.
The lizard looks you up and down, like a farmer would a fetching horse. All of a sudden, he grips you firmly by the chin, with the intent of inspecting your teeth.
One of us will kill our own. They're picking us off one by one.
Can we just skip to the part where I reassure you and you shut up?
My, we are fierce, aren't we? Not to worry. I'll soon remedy that. Now then, to business. You will answer me 3 questions. The first one is this. Can you cook? Oh, goodness, no. And don't even mention the demon's testes that are turnips. On to the second question. Can you knit, weave? In short, tailor? Yes, I can tell from your vagabond chic. a bag is as good as a shirt kind of style, I shouldn't be getting my hopes up. On then to my final query. Have you the ability to administer the upkeep of one's personal appearance? The delicate art of cosmetics is what I'm after. The very basics, then. I suppose that's so. 3 questions asked, as per your own testimony, you can groom, but you have the taste buds of a dung beetle and the fashion sense of a monkey in a clown suit. That won't do at all, see? I'm sad to say I must deny you the opportunity to be my slave. Ever so sorry. You should probably come to terms with the fact that you've half a mind, full stop. You'll never attain the rank of slave with manners such as that. Still, hone your skills, and one day you may just qualify for a position in a lesser household than mine. You keep dreaming, you hear?
A broad dwarf sits totally upright on the bench, eyes closed, palms face up on his knees. His beard is a cascade of meticulous plaits, each one braided through with golden medallions. He raises an eyebrow as you approach, but doesn't open his eyes.
I've seen more appetizing things coming
Listen
out
up,
of
boy.
plague-stricken pigs.
You hear that?
There's nothing else I can make, Your Majesty. Turnips and water are all I was given.
The ship, of course.
I've never dined on anything less than a dozen-course dinner, and I don't intend to do
A wave of sound washes over you. The unintelligible chatter of your shipmates, the groaning of wood from floor to ceiling, the boom, crash and crackle of waves around you, complaints from the sea itself.
And?
when you clearly don't know the first thing about sauce.
Sick as a leper's cat. From the state of it, I'd say she's being cared for by a bunch of beardless babes who never loved anyone but their own mums. But there's more. Listen close.
Ask what you must.
There now, just like that.
Seems to me you should be a little...
Squeak!
There's a killer about, after all.
Till
Aha!
cabbage becomes a crime.
His eyes snap open as his countenance breaks into an expression of joy. One great paw claps you on the back. The other catches you before you lose your footing.
There. You heard it, didn't you? I knew it. I knew it. Aye, this is good news, boy. Good news. It's the wheel. The wheel. Don't you see, you beautiful idiot? Squeaks whenever the helmsman jerks it clockwise, which means we're heading east. Burn my beard. That means if we've been traveling for... Yes! Only 10.34 nautical miles to Fort Joy.
I ain't saying nothing. Bloody dwarves, I'll come back to you. And you better be ready to talk here.
Captain, actually. And that figure tells me we're getting close to the Joy. Close to what lies beyond it, too.
The dwarf leans back from the table and strokes his beard, gold medallions jingling merrily. His eyes roll over to you.
That'll be all. Thank you kindly, boy.
How dare you classify this slop as food? I've seen more appetizing things coming out of plague.
One of them. A divine order loyal. They killed a sorcerer, you know. They'll hide the evidence well enough, but make no mistake.
Are all I was
Unacceptable. I've never dined on anything less than a dozen-course dinner.
I spent my life singing for my slaves to bring me my supper. Finer fare than boiled roots and rotten tubers, too. Meanwhile, the Magisters feast on honeyed meat behind this very wall. The indignity.
I'm trying to concentrate.
They don't care about us. We're like cattle to them.
I'll give you that knuckle if you keep carrying on.
One of us wouldn't kill our own.
The elf is reading a volume of Cranley Hubert's famous encyclopedia. He looks up, his big round eyes scanning your body, absorbing every detail. He reaches out and takes your hand, turning it this way and that, examining it from every angle. Finally, he pinches your skin, gently tugging at it.
Fascinating.
He sits back and returns to his book, flicking quickly from page to page, completely oblivious to your presence.
Oh no, my instinct to survive is quite strong, as with all mortals. I'm not sure why you would... Oh dear. I seem to have crossed some cultural taboo. How... difficult. You have my apologies, human. Perhaps I should demand the same from those red-cloaked humans. They laid their hands on me more than once.
Well, there has been a murder, Your Majesty. Maybe...
Perhaps.
Her Majesty's more
Perhaps
concerned
not.
than your appetite.
Understanding is all rather relative. Take this book, for example. I understand all of it, and yet none of it makes sense. It is simultaneously too detailed and insufficient. I know the beginning of this tale and the end, but I am rather missing the middle. Tell me, what do you know of our world's history?
Put a knuckle on it. I'm trying to concentrate.
They don't care about us. We're like cattle to them.
I'll give you that knuckle if you keep carrying on.
One of us will kill our own. They're picking us off one by one.
Can we just skip to the part where I reassure you and you shut up?
Oh, please. I have no interest in that. Your books are too full of it already. No, I want to know about the Celestial. I want to know about your gods. This text tells me that they created all creatures, but nothing of what came before. Where did these gods come from? Who are their people? Where are the others of their kind?
There's nothing else I can make, Your...
Of course you don't have any useful information. Why did I expect anything else? Now please, run along. I have a world to decipher.
No amount of pestering will get the elf to take his eyes off his book or respond to your questions.
Maybe that has Her Majesty's more concerned than your appetite.
Don't you get saucy with me.
Here to register, sir. Good, good. Magister Williams is just about done with the last part. You faring okay so far? Course I do. Seems Voidwalk can dog your heels like a shadow. That's no way to live, is it? You'll see. We're gonna help you. You head on in now. Williams will get you sorted first.
I'll give you that knuckle if you keep carrying on.
You look like my daddy. His name is Frida. I wasn't doing anything. I swear. Do you know Losa? She's a really good singer. I'm better though. Listen. La 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 la.
What are you trying to hear anyway?
I'll tell you if you can...
Ah, there you are. Husband. Would you please tell this very charming gaggle of not-at-all brat-like babes that I am by no accounts this Losa woman, nor do I sing, in fact. I'm deathly allergical. How very correct you are, spouse of mine. Madame Josephine Gribbles de Peeb refuses to be confused with anyone else. What? What's so funny?
Her pinched face cracks into a great grin, and she shoos the children away from her with a laugh.
Yeah, okay, you found me out. Go on and git, and maybe I'll sing you something when I'm good and ready.
She turns to you, dark-eyed and dirty-haired, and smiles flatly.
Gotta keep ourselves entertained, haven't we?
One of us will kill our own. They're picking us off one by
You presume right.
Just skip to the part where I reassure you and you shut up.
Nope, trying not to find anything out either. Ignorance is bliss.
The utterer, the better. Thanks, but I already belong to an elite and exclusive ship gang. We play ball every day after lunch. You're too soft for it. You take care, though.
Suddenly, her eyes cloud to an unnatural black. Greyish veins run down her face, and her mouth tightens into a cruel sneer. As quickly as they came, the clouds clear. She smiles as though no change came over her.
Good luck, Chief.
I've never dined on anything less than a dozen-course dinner, and I don't intend to do away with the custom.
Well, there has been a murder, Your
The Magister starts, recognition growing on his face as
You look just like...
the Magister's face turns white. He makes a move to step backwards, then stops himself as his hand closes on the weapon at his hip.
It is you. Ifan Ben Mesd. I remember you. You were my captain's commander way back in the war.
They don't care about us. We're like cattle to them.
I'll give you that knuckle.
The Magister's eyes darken. His face closes over into a cold mask.
I always knew you'd end up down low. Lower even than us nobodies in the rank and file. The higher the climb, the louder the splat when you fall. In Fort Joy, you're about to fall further than you thought possible. And I'll be listening for the splat. Happy landings.
I'll tell you if you can keep it quiet long enough for me to listen.
How dare you classify this slop as food? I've seen more appetizing things coming out of
You! Sorcerer! Blood? No! Go! Oof.
Name? Well, you aren't here on my list. Scrammy. Like I said, you aren't on the list.
The hatch is blocked. I'll need to find another way.
There's nothing else I can make, Your Majesty. Turnips and water are all I was given.
Keep those bolts trained on her. And if she tries to run, shoot to
I've
kill.
never dined on anything less than a dozen-course dinner.
You seem on
and I
edge,
don't
officer.
intend to do away with
What
it.
on earth is the matter?
Well,
Murder most
there has
foul.
been a murder.
I strongly suspect you know all about it.
That has the Magisters more concerned than
Do
your
you?
appetite.
Well, perhaps you're
Don't you get
absolutely
salty with
right.
me when you clearly don't know the first thing about sauce.
Standing at the center of the room, you spot a sorcerer haughtily eyeing a pair of nervous-looking Magisters. They keep their crossbow trained upon her as she's being interrogated by an officer.
So you admit it then? You murdered that poor fella?
Yes, I did. But of course, that was only the beginning.
She turns her head and looks you straight in the eye.
There are others whose lives must end.
Good God, the woman's mad. You there, sorcerer, go and fetch Magister Siwan. We need to do more than collar this maniac. We need to shackle her, hands and feet.
It means your journey draws to a close. Do stick around for its finale, though, because
She reaches for her collar and simply removes it.
I'm just about to create a scene.
Subdue her, men, quickly! If she casts source, the Voidwoken will come. They'll end us all.
She smiles with wicked satisfaction.
Precisely.
hell's happened?
The hound paws desperately at its snout. It winces as it draws blood from its wet, black nose and continues scratching. The dog notices you for the first time and snarls. The hairs on its back. It sneezes suddenly and paws at its nose once more.
Can't smell. Can't breathe. Too much sauce. Too much. Please, make it stop.
The dog whines and continues pawing at its nose.
Long before this thing snaps into splinters.
Great God! Something's pounding on the hull!
Damn. That doesn't bode well. Onwards and upwards.
You pass through the door and are suddenly face to face with an undead. His skull is bizarrely angular, and a glorious jewel sits in the middle of his forehead. The skeleton is quickly leafing through a volume of Cranley Hubert's famous encyclopedia, muttering to himself.
No! What damn fools record knowledge on a pulped tree? It catches fire, it turns into must when wet, it cannot even resist acid. No wonder they're so bloody ignorant.
The skeleton looks up and notices you for the first time.
Oh, it's you. Shouldn't you be running and screaming or some such?
The skeleton groans and looks back to his book, frantically flipping from page to page.
Yes, indeed. It's the look of someone that wants to read the bloody book he's holding. Now, if you're really quite finished, I believe you have lifeboats to flee to. Remember, one of your race's weaknesses is having your lungs filled with water until you can no longer breathe. So, try to avoid that, perhaps.
The skeleton resumes his search, leafing through page after page, while hunching over the book in a futile attempt to keep it dry.
Gods, I need to get off the ship.
The dwarf yanks at one of the nearby ropes to no avail.
You said there were other people down there. We need to help them.
You see those tentacles, kid? It's time for getting the hell out of here.
But wait! There's still people down there! Thank you! There's a ladder right over there. You can go straight down.
You're gonna be the death of us here.
The Magister lies on the floor, unconscious.
If you can walk, get yourself up the ladder. There's a... Wait! Voidwoken!
won't sink the ship on my watch.
Let the games begin. Greet the Reaper for me.
They who are about to triumph.
I thought Voidwoken was supposed to be scary. We make a pretty good team.
Let's not tarry. This old tub is about to burst.
Away.
Something. It's Magister Siwan, the one who put on this damn collar.
She tries to speak, but can only gape as she clutches her neck, trying to stem the bleeding of a gushing wound. With jagged movements, she raises her clenched fist and holds out a length of cloth, soaked with some kind of strong-smelling tincture. Blood quickly soaks through the cloth. Magister Siwan's mouth opens and closes, her eyes wide in terror. Blood pours out from around the bandage. Magister Siwan reaches out to you, her hand flailing. It's working. The pressure is stemming the flow of blood. Siwan clutches your arm, her eyes locked with yours. Something within the ship snaps. The floorboards shudder. Siwan struggles to her feet, clinging to you tightly. The ship lets out a deep groan, then cracks.
God.
It's ripping the ship apart.
This is it. She's going.
I have plans for you, child. Rise.
Honorable Dallas, we lost a ship sailing sorcerer prisoners to Fort Joy. We assume some escaped and broke their collars. Their vile magic lured the Voidwoken. All who were aboard are presumed dead. Yours faithfully into eternity, High Judge Orivan.
So the Order's right about one thing. We attract Voidwoken. Am I the lone survivor? Only one way to find out. Any man who put his likeness in stone is a fool in my book.
The child has a small mirror in his hands. He holds it up at angles, inspecting his eyes, his chin, the crown of his head. He spots you, and his arms snap to his sides.
I'm not supposed to talk to strangers. Are you a sorcerer? One of those guys that brings the bad void things here?
The child screws up his face and looks at you hard. He lifts his mirror up to his nose, closes one eye, and looks at himself again.
I don't see any source on you or me. I guess they're wrong or crazy. No one cares where I go. They know I can't leave the island. It's nicer out here than inside anyway. But you didn't die. I guess I am, but it's just normal to be scared. Nowhere isn't scary. There isn't anywhere safer. That's what I mean. You'll see.
I thought these bloody collars were supposed to keep those things at bay. The face is familiar. What's left of it? He was aboard the ship.
Look here, Quercus. Another giant. My word, this blasted isle is teeming with them. What's that? Yes, I did see how it made short work of the great Acorn's servants. Quite right, very impressive. But that is no reason to trust it. Giants like that destroyed our forests. They are the very reason the great Acorn is returning in all its wrath. What? Dear me, have you taken leave of all 6 of your senses? You would have me use this giant for a shield? Why would I... Oh, I see. You cunning devil, Quercus. Of course, if it defeated the great Acorn's vile servants, it can do so again. We need only follow in its big, wide shadow and be safe. Gads! It speaks our tongue, Quercus! Hush before... What do you mean, a good time for introductions? You know full well who I am, you silly old cat. The great Solora, grandest of the... Oh, introduce myself to the giant. I shall do no such thing. You give away your trust too easily, my dear steed. No, we will have the giant march. In time, we'll see whether it deserves our confidence. Now, onwards! Shield! Venture forth, post-haste. The great acorn waits for no one. Oh, how pensively our shield looks down upon us. Dear me! It has questions, Quercus. Why, yes, I suppose answering them is the polite thing to do. Speak, Shield! What are your queries? A giant body, but no giant brain, eh, Quercus? Surely even the tall folk know that Rivellon was bare before the great acorn fell from above and seeded the Irwood, covering this land in beautiful, perfect forests. Beautiful and perfect until the giant races, no offense, realized they could use it to build their houses and fuel their fires. They carved the Irwood up, and the forests shrank and shrank. None of the original wood remains. But someday, the great acorn will fall again. The forests will be reborn, and the giant races will be wiped from this world. At least that's what I hear. Indeed, Quercus. Let's be off.
You spot a strange lizard gazing over the water with a steady, malcontent stare. His skin is of a bright, blood-red color. Could he be... Yes, you recognize him from the ship. It would seem you're not the only one who survived the tentacles of the deep.
A black cat. Maybe my luck is about to change.
It seems we're not the only ones taking on strays. Oh, no need to be jealous, Quercus. Fur maketh not the cat.
The cat's eyes are clouded and grey, but it stares at you with acute intensity.
What? How did I get... Hey, stop following me. Me? I know who I am. At least I think I do. Sometimes it feels like... No, I know who I am. Who are you? A head? No, not here. You won't be able to... Won't be...
The cat shakes its head, as if trying to wake up from a deep sleep.
Huh? Yeah, fine. I'm fine. I'm not sure. It's all a little foggy.
The cat opens his mouth as if to speak, but his eyes lose focus, and with a jerk he turns away from you. The cat's eyes are clouded and grey.
What's going on?
spotted something. I wonder where this leads.
As the alcove opens up, you see the same skeleton that you met on the boat before it sank. He's leaning over a corpse, prodding and pulling at the skin of its face.
Bugger. How on earth am I supposed to... Oh. Perhaps...
Skeletal fingers reach down and grip the skin of the dead man's face, pulling sharply upwards. After a few more tugs at the man's cheeks, the skeleton relents, letting the head drop to the ground with a damp thud.
Damnation. That stuck fast. I wonder, does the beard act as some form of anchor? Ah! No! Stay back! Don't... Oh, it's you. I must admit I'm surprised. Perhaps you're more buoyant than I suspected. It seems the human that stole my mask was rather more resourceful than I gave her credit for. I chased her here, but she rather seems to have given me the slip. Thus...
He turns back to the body, prodding at its face cautiously.
Why, its face, of course. What other use would I have for some rotting corpse? A face that seems rather stubbornly attached to his skull. I would normally employ a tool to delicately but viciously rip the face from the body. I could then craft a mask to hide my bone. But as I lack such a tool...
The skeleton grabs the corpse by the cheeks and pulls hard, grunting in frustration as the body's skin holds firm.
Carved? Please. You hardly think I am one of your breed, do you? You have never seen anything like it because you have never met anyone like me. Simply put, I am an Eternal, and you are not. You have my sympathies. Indeed, no one seems to have the good taste to be. My people are rather absent, at least from this realm. As for the others, well, there is an excavation site at the Black Pit's oil fields. Perhaps there I'll find my answers. A cult? Hardly. We were a race that existed before the idea of race was needed. We were all one. I could ask you to imagine an Eternal as a creature of incredible intelligence and skill, but I fear the limits of your imagination would not do us justice. We studied the mysteries of the universe. We created works of great art. We disappeared. But I will find them. Wherever they are, I will find them. We will have our world again. Well, that hardly seems relevant. But if you must know, I was inconvenienced for a time. Several centuries, in fact. Or perhaps millennia. One tends to lose track. I was sealed in a tomb for daring to be curious about the world. It seems our king did not agree that the universe should be explored to its full potential. Perhaps I should thank him. It seems I was spared whatever happened to the others. I wonder if flowers would be appropriate. Ah, well, that is the curious thing. They are clearly absent from this world, and yet they are everywhere. Every one of your races resembles them in some manner, and the statues you have built to your gods look remarkably familiar. Perhaps my people have ascended to some new realm, or perhaps your gods are merely a folk memory. Regardless, they are not here, but I will find them, wherever they are. I will find them. I suppose, circumstances being what they are, it could be advantageous. You seem more at ease in this world than I. A guide would certainly be useful. Excellent. While we are conversing, perhaps you notice that I am rather skilled in, well, all things. Of course, the arcane arts are my little speciality, but being a brilliant wizard does not mean I cannot handle blade or bow. So, which do you require for this enterprise of yours? Someone with a little muscle. Really? I am adept as any in the fine art of hitting people with sticks. But what exactly are you looking for? If I had your mind, I'd rather wish I could change it. Ah, you seek a more subtle approach. How surprisingly civilized. Very well. What do you require? If I had your mind, I'd rather wish I could change it too. Much magic? I was controlling the powers of the universe while your people were still... doing whatever it is you used to do. What speciality would you prefer? If I had your mind, I'd rather wish I could change... Someone with a little muscle. Really? I am adept as any in the fine art of hitting people with sticks. But what exactly are you looking for? I could do that with one hand behind my spine. Now, shall we get on? There is rather a lot to see. Splendid. Very well. Let's be off.
The cat's eyes are clouded, its eyes clear.